There's a really great article by the Daily Dot called "Where Are Gamergate's Ethics in Journalism Now?" And it's by Joseph Newt. And the reason why I say this is a great article, it's because the article is actually really, really bad, but it's a really good example of the problems in journalism. Now, I have nothing to do with Gamergate. I wasn't around during Gamergate. I focused nothing on any of these issues, but I am a constant media critic. So when I saw this and looked at the story, there's a bunch of people associated with like anti-social justice on Twitter who are talking about this, and I decided to dig in a little bit and see what it's all about. And we have this tag: gaming's mob of harassers goes quiet when it's a white guy's scandal. And I was kind of thinking, like, I really feel like that's bullshit. I really don't believe that for a couple reasons. All this talk about Gamergate being the start of the culture war or whatever, I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe, but a lot of the rhetoric that's come after that, like diversity in comics and things like that, I feel like it's a lot of bullshit. Now, I don't want to get into the diversity in comics, scandal, Comicsgate or whatever, but let's look at an example of Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, so Gamora in the comics has what you would probably say are more like white features, I guess. I mean, she's green, so I don't think race really matters. But a lot of people have mentioned that Gamora Zoe Saldana being cast as Gamora is technically not race bending, because Gamora in the comics actually looks more have like European features. Nobody cared. There was no Guardians Gate. They say that gaming's mob of harassers goes quiet when it's a white guy scandal. Nobody gave a shit about Zoe Saldana being cast as Gamora. Granted, she's green, right? And then let's look at Watch Dogs. I've talked about this before, a video game where the main character is a black dude and you have a trans woman as a councilwoman as a peripheral character. Nobody cared. So maybe, just maybe, and this goes for the people who are anti-social justice as well, the issue isn't social justice. You can have diversity so long as you're just cool and not an asshole. It's really that simple. Why did Zoe Saldana work as Gamora? Because Zoe Saldana's awesome. Who cares? Zoe Saldana does a really good job as Gamora. That's all that matters. Well-written character, great movie. Zoe Saldana, talented. The problem arises when they try and put characters somewhere that don't make sense. Like Rose Tico in Star Wars. The problem with the character isn't that she's an Asian woman. The problem is that the character writing makes no sense. Okay? So let's take a look at this guy saying. He's claiming that gaming's mob of harassers goes quiet when it's a white guy scandal. Yeah, I kind of feel like that's BS, but let's look what he said. Look at what he says. All right. So he says the world of Gamergate has been suspiciously calm about what should be its most prolific issue in the face of widespread plagiarism committed by a now former editor at a leading gaming publication, Gamergate members' ethics in journalism outrage, and that relative silence is laying bare their true motivations. Okay. First of all, again, I had nothing to do with Gamergate. I wasn't around, didn't make videos about it. I'm not much of a hardcore gamer, and a lot of these issues go over my head. But I can say this. Most of the people I speak with, and most of the criticisms I have very little to do with plagiarism, okay? Plagiarism, ethics violation. But not the worst ethics violation. You know what's worse is when someone injects their political agenda and lies to you. Look, if somebody's gonna write a review for, Smash Brothers, and it turns out someone else wrote the review, but the review's fine, hey, you stole from that guy. You slighted that one guy. That's wrong. If somebody plagiarizes somebody else, they have slighted an individual, and we should be upset about it. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case with Gamergate. But plagiarism isn't a slight against the entirety of a community, okay? If you are a gamer and someone says all gamers are whack, then you're going to piss off a lot of gamers. But if one person plagiarizes one other person, you're going to piss them off, but only a little bit, because you're not personally attacking them. So that's what he's claiming. He's claiming they don't care. Guess what? Surprise, surprise. It's full of shit. Because I went over to Kotaku in Action, which is apparently it's core Gamergate, and I did a search for IGN, limiting my search to Kotaku, and sure enough, look at all these posts about what's going on. There's more pages. They've been talking about this apparently nonstop for the past 2 weeks, post after post after post. Look, it's 100 comments, 42 comments. Some of them don't have that many points. 30 comments, 21, 24. What is this idea that they're not talking? This one's got 51 comments, 67. Yes, Okay, we've concluded that Gamergate is upset with plagiarism to an extent you'd probably imagine they'd be, because the bigger concern for a lot of people when it comes to anti-social justice is the injection of politics, the injection of an agenda into these things. And it also has to do with when you are reviewing a game in its entirety, and you take money from that game's creator to advertise on your site, no one's going to trust you. And that's another big issue, right? That is a slight against the entire community. Plagiarism affects one person. You should be lucky if anyone's going to get your back if you've been plagiarized. And yes, Kotaku did. But he addresses this, okay? The reason I showed that first is because he relents and says, okay, hold on. He actually goes over to Kotaku and he says, you'd think such an excessive and absurd breach of ethics would be a bloodbath for those at Kotaku in Action and other Gamergate forums to feast on. But none of the last week's top posts on Kotaku in Action are about anything related to IGM or Philip Muchin, save for one satire post from the Hard Times and a post from pro-Gamergate journalist Ian Miles Chong. Chong responded to a Twitter user commenting on Kotaku in Action's silence by responding with a screen cap of Reddit threads focused on just that. Ian Miles Chong posted a screenshot of all of these posts about it. So what's he saying? Oh, okay. He says Chong is wrong. Why is he wrong? None of the Reddit threads go over 52 comments. Wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. Bum, bum, bum. IGN admits to substantial similarities. 9 days ago, 100 comments. What are you talking about, Daily Dot? This is fake news. Is it so hard? Is it really that hard? There was, I can't remember somebody on Twitter was saying that accusing Gamergate of not caring about ethics in journalism because not enough people are complaining is a really, really weak attack against the Gamergate people. Look, I don't care what your opinion is on the Gamergate people or anything like that, but this story that's going around is wrong. He said, none of the Reddit threads go over 52 comments and slightly over 300 upvotes. Let's try that again. Okay, well, that's 500 upvotes and 100 comments. What's the number? Okay, what do we got here? With 300 upvotes. All right, let's see what we got. 820. IGN. Oh, okay, this is not necessarily the plagiarism one. Okay, so that's fair. This one's 120. Let's see, we've got the 900. So here's 314. That goes over 300. Ian Miles Chong talking about it. That's over 425. It's like these people can go on nonstop about why they're mad about journalism, and then you're going to be like, oh, well, they're not going on and on enough about journalism. Dude, this is one of the biggest problems with media today. Was this story necessary? Joseph Newt, why'd you write this story? This is ridiculous. This is absurd conjecture, selective editing. You're ignoring evidence. I just did a quick search on Kotaku in Action and I found a post from 9 days ago talking exactly about this with nearly 1,000 upvotes and hundreds of comments. Look, 500 upvotes and 100 comments. Way more than he's estimating. And how many people are even in this subreddit? 98,000. Out of 98,000 people, that's actually a lot. Is it the biggest scandal in the history of journalism? No, like I mentioned, man. It's one guy plagiarizing some other people. It's not a slight against the entire community. So he says, Twitter itself is also shockingly calm in the wake of Muchin's plagiarism. The Gamergate tag is quiet. Is Gamergate even active at all? Like, man, I don't look, admittedly, I know very little about Gamergate. I can say that for the third time. I was not around for it, I had nothing to do with it. But I'm sick and tired of seeing, Ryan Johnson on Star Wars is like, this is Gamergate all over again. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I don't know what the fuck Gamergate was. I was in Japan or some shit. And it was like 2014 or something. I had no idea what the hell was going on. I saw a couple YouTube videos, didn't really pay attention. Can I be mad about Star Wars and about the bad job he did making that movie without some kind of Gamergate analogy? And then we have the Sarah Jong incident. Right, Sarah Jong posts a bunch of racist nonsense on Twitter, and then they're like, The Verge writes in her defense, this is just reminiscent of tactics used during Gamergate. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Look, literally, man, what are you talking about? I don't know what the fuck happened during Gamergate. I don't know shit about this. Like, Zoe Quinn tweeted at me because I said that, alt-right and Gamergate are becoming boogeyman terms that don't mean anything anymore. And she tweeted at me like, how dare you erase the history? Like, these people targeted me. I'm sure they did. But when The Verge starts accusing Gamergate tactics of emerging, and you've got these stories time after time being like, ooh, Gamergate, the great boogeyman that started the culture war, I'm like, dude, I literally have no idea what you're talking about because I wasn't here. And the thing is, what I'm saying and what I'm feeling, a lot of people feel this way, dude. Like, There are a lot of people that have no idea what the fuck Gamergate was about, what it means, and sure, there's probably a lot of people who are upset because they were harassed or something, and if that's the case, well, that's shitty, you know? But when I complain about something, when I say something's bad, you can't just be like, that's Gamergate, like, because I don't know what that is. And then we see these stories. The reason I'm highlighting this, I saw people posting about it, and I just got frustrated that there's all of these stories that are acting like there's some evil satanic death cult called Gamergate on the internet. It's actually like a relatively small subreddit or something. Like, really? Is that it? And then what bothers me the most is this is a really great example of the culture war. A guy, in his attempt to smear Gamergate, is wrong. He claims these posts don't exist. They do. Is it really that hard? And it's really funny too because he even shows Ian Miles. Okay, so this is to his credit, putting Ian Miles Chung's rebuttal in here. So let's see what he ends with, and then I'm getting out of here. I'm done for the day. He says, Muchin has escaped the harassment and hate campaigns that has driven many women and people of color out of the industry and prevented them from being more outspoken. That's because Gamergate will never be about ethics in games journalism. It is about harassing and removing women and people of color who are doing their best to expand the world of video games and make it more inclusive. This scares people who have historically always been represented in games, but refuse to believe that a more inclusive industry makes all the games better. Okay, well, look, I don't know enough about what he's talking about. Suffice to say, Joseph Newt looks like a white dude. And a native Chicagoan. So let me say this. For the fourth time. Me no Gamergate, okay? No idea. I can also say that I don't think I've ever played a game that has made me feel represented in the way they're claiming people should be represented. When I play Watch Dogs and the main character is black, I don't care. Dude's a great character. He's a cool dude. Main character, awesome. When he interacts with other characters, yeah, whatever. I've never played a game with someone of my look and heritage, and I don't care. I don't complain about that. I don't care when I played Tomb Raider at Lara Croft's a woman, I'm not like, oh, I want to play Tomb Raider, be a guy. Like, I don't care. Make a good game with good characters, and I'll play whatever game. There's tons of games where the lead characters are female, you know? The idea that they're going to be people... So you know what? Sure, I'll say this. Maybe if he's specifically talking about a core community of people like Gamergate, they want to remove people of color. But here's what I want to point out. When I say I don't like Star Wars, when I say I don't like Battlefield, it has nothing to do with this social justice. It has to do with the games just... with this content not being good, right? I made a big video about Star Wars. I just think it's bad. I thought it was bad writing. I was disappointed that they wrote an Asian female character and did a bad job of doing it, because I think it would be awesome to see an Asian female. It'd be great. But Rose Tico was written poorly. When I look at Battlefield 5, I don't look at it and go, how dare they put women in this game? I'm like, what's with the prosthetic arm and like purple hair and like weird Fortnite-y feel? I don't care to play that kind of game. You know what I mean? Admittedly, I'm not big on, well, I don't play Fortnite. I play Destiny and like The Division. This is actually a really good example because when The Division came out, I played that. And that's gritty, gray, it's like the color palette's darker. That's the kind of game I like. So when I see a commercial for Battlefield, I'm like, oh, that was cool. I don't know, I'm not into it. You know, I made this video the other day. I'm not gonna tell you not to make the game. I'm just not gonna play it. So when they talk about, it's not about ethics in journalism, well, let me say this. As someone who has nothing to do with Gamergate, I do take great issue with ethics in journalism, period. Not just gaming journalism. If you watch my channels, you know I criticize the media all the time, and I'm doing it right now. And I also take issue with a lot of content for being bad. Not for, like, dude, honestly, if you made a video game with not even a single white person, or just one, like, let's say you had like an Asian character, a Latino character, a black character, a white character, a black, characters from all different countries. One of each. I still wouldn't care. Just as long as the story makes sense and the game is fun, I really don't take issue with a person's identity. In fact, make a video game that's the main character is like a black Jewish trans woman. I'll just play the game. You make a good game. There's nothing to do. You know, it bothers me that you can't be upset with certain things for being bad because they're going to accuse you of being racist or whatever. So anyway, this article is core bullshit because we can read through it and know that it's just not true. And I'll give you an example of why, because this is from yesterday, and the main post that I was showing you, IGN admits to substantial similarities. This is about plagiarism, and it's got 100 comments from 9 days ago. Did the guy not even go and look at Kotaku in action? Oh, whatever. Anyway, that's it for the day. I might have another video up at some point, but for now I got to get some other work done. So thanks for hanging out.